Yo, yeehaw!
Oh no!
It is two Dynamite dudes on a Rampage, and we're doing some cowboy shit today because it is AEW Full Gear post show special morning, and what a morning it is, Marcus! Having my cowboy coffee right here at Starbucks. And
I don't know.
Marcus,
I don't know if Starbucks is what Cowboys were drinking, Dom.
you don't think so? Not on the range.
I'm gonna say no.
What about
Probably
anxious millennial cowboys?
Sure.
Okay.
What's funny is, as a shoot, I did not know that Dominic was going to be wearing this hat. Just now, I was like looking at my notes, and I look up for his intro, and he's wearing this dumb hat.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Mhm.
Marcus, his face was turned, and I knew he wasn't watching. So,
Just absurd.
but you guys are watching. We're live for this morning discussion of post Full Gear, and what an evening it was. My goodness, Marcus, though, was a degenerate, true to form, and was not able to watch a show. But
When's the last time I watched one of these pay-per-views, Dom? It's never happened.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. You have never watched, and I mean, the past.
Actually, I watched one. Kev Kellum hooked me up the one time, but
which one was that?
I don't recall. Might have been the last Full Gear.
Okay. Hey, Mark, we got to stand up real quick. Show the shirts that we got on. A little synergy happening. Oh shit! Cowboy shit. All right.
Yeah, let me tell you, Dom, everything I've been hearing about this, it sounds like it was an incredible match on a card full of incredible matches. But let's just jump right into it, man. Yeah, so we have a new AEW World Heavyweight Champion, and I got to say, man, it was the right move, unquestionably the right move. You know, I heard the comparisons. Somebody had said online, I hope that Hangman shows up with a tan. Because infamously, it was like Sting didn't show up with enough of a tan is like the silly story, which is like all just bullshit. But the funny story is that Sting didn't show up at Starrcade 97 with enough of a tan, which is why they did like the weird finish for that. And so somebody said that, and it's like that is like an appropriate comparison. You know, like this is kind of like as weird as it is comparing Hangman Page to Sting. It's appropriate because he's gone for a while. He was getting super over, comes back in, and then all of a sudden, you know, he's placed in this world title picture against somebody who everybody wants to see him beat. And so it's like the only way to fumble this is the way that WCW did at Starrcade 97, and they did not fumble it. They pulled the trigger, so to speak, and it worked out great.
It did work out great, Mark. It was a main event. It was a really, really rock solid main event where these guys conveyed the story that they had and then like added on to it at the end with the angle at the end. But it was good to, I mean, like the crowd was electric for Hangman. They wanted Hangman to win, and like the expectations were there for Hangman to win, and he won. And this kind of shows to why, even in wrestling, if things are predictable, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Like, it's just a matter of taking those people on that ride and on that story, because there's a lot of these matches that if you went down the card, you could look at and be like, okay, this person's going to win, that person's going to win, this person's going to win. But ultimately, this was a great pay-per-view. And I think it now, I could be a touch biased because I was at All Out, so I think All Out was of the best pay-per-view, like, of the year, across the board. Like, that's including WE stuff, whatever. But I mean, this really rivaled it at the very least. And many will make an argument that this was the best pay-per-view. And I couldn't really debate too much onto that, you know, except for some simple facts, like a Punk's debut, return back, and Bryan Danielson debuting. This had both those guys there in both really, really good matches.
And both in matches, you know, so a debut is one thing. Having an actual high quality match is quite another thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, Dom, it's exciting. This is a really cool thing in wrestling where it's, you know, you can consider Hangman Page a homegrown talent. So is Kenny Omega, but it's cool seeing these homegrown talent get this opportunity. You know, it feels like a mulligan on WCW, and some of the things that were maybe problematic, you know, where you're kind of taking established stars and continuing to push them, and you know, like the huge superstars such as like further down the card, such as Chris Jericho and Eddie Guerrero at the time, rest in peace. It was yesterday marked
a lot of homage
what was
paid
it
to him. The 16th anniversary of his
Yes,
passing.
16 years ago that he had passed away. So rest in peace, A. Guerrero. But they weren't really pushing some of their huge stars and talented people that were a little further down the card. And now it kind of feels like we're getting a mulligan on it, and it's just a really cool thing to watch. And I'm excited to see what kind of a run Hangman Page has. Dominic Herman, thanks for joining us. He says, as a Kenny Omega fan, I think it was fitting for Hangman to win. I just hope Tony Khan won't drop the belt too soon. That's my hope as well. It's I think that establishing long-term champions, as he has been, they do call it the most protected belt in the business, which is funny because it tells you how much the business has changed. Back in the day, it was Bruno Sammartino would hold the belt for like 7 years or whatever.
It was like 8 years, 7.5 years, and then he'd go for another 4-year run after that.
So now it's like if you hold the belt for 8 months, it's like, holy shit, what a run!
That's a long time.
Yeah. But no, it's just funny how wrestling has changed in that way. But I think he's going to get a nice run. So it looks like Dom, this is a good transition.
Well, let's not transition quite yet because I do want to talk about that. But Marcus, are you aware of the angle that did happen at the end of the show? Well, at the end of the match itself.
I am not. Fill me in.
Okay, so the Young Bucks came out earlier in the evening. Hangman confronted the Young Bucks and he's like, listen, I want to apologize. He's like, I was not a good friend. I did some, questionable things. And he's like, and I screwed up your title match. And he's like, but if I'm not mistaken, you screwed up one of mine. So at this point, I consider us even. He's like, but if either of you both interfere with this match tonight, I will come after you. He's like, and there will be vengeance to pay kind of thing. And so, sure enough, nearing the end of the match, who comes out but the Young Bucks? And they're at ringside. They're getting booed, obviously. You think there might be some chicanery going down. Hangman and Omega are going back and forth, trading finishing moves, all that kind of thing. And then Hangman hits a buckshot lariat to the back of Kenny. And then he gets on the other side and is sizing him up to hit another one. And he's on the same side as the Young Bucks are. And he's looking at both Nick and Matt. He looks at Nick and Nick is just staring at him. And he's gives him a nod. And Hangman leaps over, gives him the buckshot and gets the 1, 2, 3. That's how the match ends. So, a little dissension perhaps in the elite ranks. Where would you, I know I just threw this on you, but where would you want to see this kind of thing going?
I want to see it go away. I think that that what we've been seeing out of the Young Bucks and the Elite is good stuff, and I don't like to mess with that. I think is a mistake. Especially to reposition the Young Bucks in a borderline babyface role, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for them to be baby faces. I think that they're just naturally heels. So I'm not crazy about that idea. But I don't know. It's Tony Khan so far has taken us on a pretty nice journey. So I think that we can trust him.
Oh yeah, I'm a little intrigued by it because you kind of look at the landscape of AEW. They have a lot of talent, like we talk about every week, which means a lot more room for more tag teams and heel tag teams. So if there's an opportunity to do that, yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad move. I will say, yeah, they've been great on the heel run, and I don't want to see that cut too short now. But you have a guy like Adam Cole who can play a mean ass heel and a great heel too. Or what does that mean? Because he was aligning with Bobby Fish on Wednesday night and kind of making hay, and the Young Bucks toss shade at Bobby and stuff like that during that segment. So it's there's a lot of stuff kind of getting a little sticky here. Where does Kenny Omega lay in that landscape of things too?
I got to say, a Adam Cole, Bobby Fish tag team sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, it does sound very interesting. And then kind of puts Cole on more of a trajectory of less of a part of a faction and more of maybe an alliance with an old friend. And then you kind of get him more on a solo track too.
Yeah, like pick your friends kind of a storyline, who's your friend? You make the choice because they can't coexist.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think it's something to, it's definitely an interesting part. Let's see how the execution goes and where that all lays out. So yeah, Marcus, did you want to go into the next match there? You were.
Well, yeah, it's we where I was leaving off was on Hangman Page and hopefully an extended run, which brings us to his next opponent, Dominic, which
Yes.
is none other than Bryan Danielson. So Bryan Danielson goes over against Miro, who started off looking like this unstoppable force in wrestling, and now he's taken a couple L's. I don't necessarily think it hurts him, but it's not where I wanted to see him positioned, but it is what it is. Dom, what do you think of Babyface versus Babyface here coming up in a World Heavyweight Championship match?
I think it's going to tell a really great story because Hangman just won the title, and he's just going to be established as like the new face of the company, for lack of a better phrase. And so him going up against a big time babyface and like a notable and huge star in Bryan Danielson makes it all the more intriguing that hey, these guys, Daniel Bryan made clear since he came into AEW that he's here to fight and here to win titles. He made that clear last night too in the post press conference scrums that took place after the show. And he really laid into like, hey, I'm here to, win and prove everybody that I'm the best. I'm not here to make mentor or make friends or anything like that. He's like, I'm here to prove I'm the best at it. And so really setting it up and everything like that. Danielson getting a rock solid, like hard fought, like really good win against Miro. Like I can delve into the details a little bit about the match here in a second, but them going for them, they're really setting up the table for like established vet and star going up against a new star and your new champion. And I think a really great story, even though it might feel predictable or something, is Hangman gives Danielson his first loss in AEW. And, that's also, I think, a money kind of thing to handle because we've seen it in WWE, especially. Bryan Danielson is Teflon, so he can lose, things can happen, and he's A-okay. He's crystal clear, and him losing against your top star in Hangman is not a bad thing at all, and it actually probably accentuates both. So, any thoughts before I talk about the match too?
No, please get into the match, and I'll make some comments following that.
Okay, so the match was awesome, and I think it really played into the fact how well out this card was laid, like throughout the whole evening, because this was I believe the third match on the card, but it had a different feel, had a different pace, and had two different talents in it. Two established veterans that know what they're doing in the ring too. Not only that, so it was very well paced and well executed. Told the story like Miro came out, and I made a note. He didn't have a crucifix on his neck. He didn't have a wedding ring on his neck, and that's something different. So what does that mean? What is that foreshadowing exactly? And especially after the loss. And so, but he comes out, and the story is Marcus. He made reference to like his neck being an issue, and like what was it like a stacked on a pile of sand, or what was it?
The phrase that he had used was God bless me with a body of granite and a neck of sand.
Neck of sand, exactly. So that's how he lost. He got tornado DDT'd from the top of the rope, and then Bryan got him in a front face lock guillotine, and Miro was out, and that was the end of the match. So it was a really, really good finish. And Miro, like a neat aspect of that is I really thought Danielson was in peril. Like he got Danielson in the game over. And I was like, oh my God, what if he does tap out? Like they had me on the edge of my seat thinking that. And then not only that, after Bryan does escape with a rope break, Miro implores him to kick him and hit him. And so Danielson is laying it all in on him. And then all that Miro does is give him one shot, whether it's a punch, an elbow, or a kick, and Danielson's down. And he keeps telling Danielson to get up. And Danielson does it again. Miro knocks him down, one hit again. This happens like 3 times. And then they go to the climax of the finish here, and that's what happened. So it's definitely in between I have 3 favorite matches in this show, and that's one of them. So it was really good, Marcus. I even Facebook messaged you like when Jay Lethal showed up, which we'll talk about later. I was like, you would really like this card. So and this was one of them you would have really liked. So
dang. Well, yeah, it's two of my favorite competitors from today working against one another, and honestly, it's when it comes to a guy that's got Miro's size, ordinarily, it doesn't really translate to being like a good technical worker, but he is. So I can only begin to imagine what a strong performance the two of them would have put on.
Right. No, it was, you would have been very impressed. I mean, and I don't think Miro loses a beat. I think this adds another layer to him. He loses again. He doesn't please or honor his wife and his God. Get out the door, buddy. That kind of thing. So it's like, what's going to happen next with him? And heck, I think we're closer to seeing Lana appear in AEW than not.
That would be cool. I hope so. I think that he needs something like that. Give him a little edge, give him a little advantage with having a manager on the outside. So yeah, it's a fun time going on over there. Dom, something else that's fun.
Well, before we break away, there's a Jesse here makes a good point, and I want to get your take on this. I think the Bucks and Adam Cole will stay heels, but will split off from Omega. Now, Marcus, I know you said you weren't at this moment, you're not an advocate for this story potentially, but if either one of these folks had to turn babyface and the other stayed heel, how would you want that set up? What do you think would be the best course of action going forward with that?
I think they all need to remain heels. I guess the only real solution I could see there, or the only party involved that I could see maybe turning babyface would be Adam Cole alongside Bobby Fish.
Okay.
Especially because he is so over with the fans too. So I think that's a reasonable way to go. But the Bucks and Omega, I think, need to remain heels, in my opinion. I think they both showed strength in those roles.
I think that's a great point. And you know what? It creates a great reason too, because who's the newest guy in the mix is Adam Cole. When did this start happening? When did this dissension start? Hey, you bring out it. That could be Kenny Omega's perspective. So they go after Adam Cole and Bobby Fish, and boom, you got some new hot baby faces in the mix, new people to feud with the Young Bucks and Kenny. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great thing.
Right, Kenny. So Kenny can say like, hey, the things started changing for us when you showed up. You're the common denominator. So, you're out or whatever the storyline is.
Yeah, no more super click.
What I was just going to bring up, Dom, was some stars were out in AEW. Let's start with one that was in the crowd. Dom, Baron von Raschke was there.
It was really cool to see because I was obviously AWA is before our time, but knowing who Baron von Raschke was and what he was to the Minneapolis and Greater North area there. Was really awesome that they pay homage to these guys, and give them these opportunities. And not only that, but include them in on the show. And that's what happened. And I guess we can segue into this part of the card where was the America Top Team versus the Inner Circle. But yes, so Von Raschke did get involved. It was a really great way it happened too, because Ethan Page, he gave an ego's edge to, I believe it was Ortiz. And then he turned to ringside where Jake Hager's wife and Baron von Raschke were. And he calls out Hager's wife, and then Raschke gives him the Iron Claw. And you could tell Raschke's such a smart guy for the business, such a vet, because he played it. He milked it a little bit, and then he gave him the Iron Claw. It was really good stuff. So this match I liked. And, it's got that, bells and whistles kind of thing with that, with the Stadium Stampede had and, certain things like that the Inner Circle have been involved in. But, I enjoyed it because simply for one of the reasons was Junior Dos Santos was really enjoying it and being in wrestling. And he was good, man. He was so happy. And that was one of the best parts about the match is he got in there and what was the move he gave? I think he gave Jericho. Yes, he gave Jericho a standing, almost like a bulldog power slam. And he got up and he was fucking beaming, like he was loving life. And then he gave Jericho like a really good vertical suplex. And again, loving it, just like taking it all in. And so there was some like missed stuff, but I think in a way it kind of added to the match itself, because what was so funny, Marcus, is so Jericho knocks Dan Lambert down. Okay. And it's clearly setting up for the Lion Salt. But the spot that's supposed to happen is Jericho's supposed to leap onto the ropes, and as he's there about to give the Lion Salt, Junior Dos Santos is supposed to strike him, like hit him. So Jericho knocks down Dan Lambert. He leaps over, but Dos Santos isn't there, and Jericho's just like, Junior, and like calling him up. And so Jericho like holds onto the rope for just like a couple extra seconds, and Joe Santos gets up and hits him. Like it was clearly like a missed spot, but I thought it was one of the best parts of the match because it was just like, okay, this guy's new. He's obviously he's loving being here and stuff like that. But Jericho, the vet that he is like, come on, get one.
That just makes him look ridiculous.
I thought it was so funny though, and I liked it. And I think it, in a way, for me, I don't know. People are gonna be like, "Oh, that's true." I liked it. I liked how it just speaks to pro wrestling. I think in a lot of ways, and I'm all right.
It's the business. It is funny him like that. You hear him yelling at Junior Dos Santos.
Come on, because like he's not gonna give Dan Lambert a Lion Salt if Lambert doesn't know how to take it, or there could be an issue going there.
Right.
So something has to be done.
There's only so many ways you can go too. Like, does Jericho make it look like he hit the ropes wrong and falls down? That makes him look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I mean, the only real way to get out of it is you either hit the guy who's unprepared with a Lion Salt, or you hold on and wait for the guy to punch you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nesha, what's up? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, but it's a morning when we usually do these in the evening, so this is a departure from our usual shtick. I heard that the match was pretty good overall. Some people had said in the reviews I was reading that it may have been like one of the weaker matches of the night, but still the entertainment value is there.
Well, look, if they're going from like, I could see maybe how they say that too. Because this was a strong card overall, and like the matches that were good were really, really good. And this was just a different kind of match that was like kind of chaotic, definitely played into that, like, okay, not one of the best cards on the show, but I don't think it was necessarily a bad match either. I thought that for what it was fun. It was a fun match. And I think like the match that I thought was a little too schmozzy, and I was messaging you about this, was what we kind of just talked about. Well, the people we talked about in the Young Bucks and oh my God, Adam Cole going up against Jurassic Express and Christian Cage. Crowd was into that, but it was just a lot of schmozzy stuff going on there too, where it was just like, all right, this is not what we've been getting this whole evening, and we got this one now. And I think overall, like, I mean, the AEW crowd, or there's an audience for that, as we've noted, but like, that one just wasn't. I wasn't digging as much. I think was the Young Bucks and their street fight that they had, their Falls Count Anywhere match that they had. So,
we touched on. I don't know. Hopefully, you're done with that discussion. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about
with the America Top Team and stuff?
Yeah.
I think it's a positive step. I think this kind of validates too Dan Lambert in a lot of way and what he's been doing. He played the ass in this match, and was A-okay with playing the ass. And I think this really speaks to the ties that giving MMA guys, somebody like a Junior Dos Santos or an Andre Arlovski, like getting them in the mix is always a good thing, and especially if they love doing it. And Junior Dos Santos clearly loves doing it. It was great to see, and I think it was very refreshing. Like, again, like maybe not the perfect ballet of pro wrestling that sometimes we get, but it's another beautiful side of the business that I think heck, even if the curtain wasn't supposed to be peeled back, it got peeled back a little bit. And having these guys in the mix is not a bad thing. People trashing a good heel heat seeker like Dan Lambert, it's contradictory to what wrestling's all about. So that's kind of my final take on it, I would think.
Cool. Well, we mentioned Baron von Raschke being out here for that match. Dominic, another star, made an appearance, and now Dominic, he is All Elite. We're talking about Jay Lethal is now part of All Elite Wrestling. You know how I feel about Jay Lethal. I've liked him for years. I think he's a really strong talent, great performer. He's been on national television for many years out of his career, but I would say that this is probably the biggest stage that he has had in his career thus far. So it's really exciting to see him in a position like this. Dom, what was your take as somebody who watched it live?
So I thought it was very unexpected because they cut to like Tony's not at the booth, and they're like, Tony's got a special announcement or a special guest or something, they said. And I'm like, oh, a special announcement it was. And I'm like, what's this going to be? I thought it was going to be a pay-per-view announcement or an event. Like, I thought, oh, this is what I thought, is they're going to announce the Owen Hart Memorial Cup tournament. I thought that's what was going to be next. But no, Tony's like, hey, we have a special guest here. And then he kind of basically said that this person's All Elite. And then it was Jay Lethal. And yeah, Mark, we watched Jay Lethal, better part of, 10, 11 years at this point. He's been around for us, like we've seen him. So, yeah, obviously, like very, like well-rounded, like capable of playing comedy or serious talent, and he's really defined his ability to showcase himself as a high-quality wrestler in Ring of Honor by doing pure wrestling and being their champion there and stuff like that. Yeah, I think there's the social media scuttlebutt about like him like with the speaking out stuff and everything, but like I went down a fucking rabbit hole last night until like 3 a.m. dealing with one of the people on Twitter, and it was like everybody's like, why didn't they? Because Jay Lethal was at the press conference, like, and he was doing Q&A and stuff like that, and they're like, you got to ask him about this, you got to ask him about this, and like, if you're not in those media scrums and you don't have the environment, and there's so many situations, it's just not the time and the place to ask that kind of question. And not only that, it's there's nothing tangible. Yeah, right. Tangible about it. Yeah. Like, it's one thing if it's like there's something you can put to paper and be like, okay, but there's nothing. And to do that and to put that out there where you don't know the entire story or everything, it's not fair to everybody in the room. It's not fair to somebody who's like potentially living the greatest moment of his life at this moment in time too. It's kind of it's a backwards take, this guilty until proven innocent situation. Like I think that everybody needs to take a breath and take a look at what evidence or lack thereof is out there before you start making a judgment call. You can't just hear something about somebody and say, well, that's true, and I dislike this person now. It's just not the way of the world. Social media just like it catches fire or gets the snowball effect where like everybody starts riding on it. And like you cannot, if you're there, you cannot dictate what social media is feeling and like what they're conveying, because it's like, and like we don't know. Nobody knows or whatever. I don't know the whole everything about all this stuff either. But to put that out to light and be like, hey, this is like, you're here, you're at the pay-per-view, this guy just got announced. It's one thing if there was super heavy stuff that was really like pertinent and big and like, tangible, but there's not. And so it's not fair to do that, to put everybody in the room and everything like that. It's like, it's a gotcha kind of question. And you just don't do that it's not right at that moment.
Right. Right. It's, take a little human element here and think about, as you said, it's potentially the biggest moment of somebody's career, maybe life. And just not the time or the place. Nesh is excited. James is excited. I think that Jay Lethal's he's a strong get for AEW.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he is too. And I think, It's going to be interesting to see how they utilize him. Like, obviously, they're putting him right in the TNT Championship mix with the Open Challenge. So, what a great start! Sammy Guevara versus Jay Lethal. It's going to be good stuff. And
no way Jay Lethal goes over there.
No, I don't think so either. But you know what? I could see something happening where somebody gets pissed off and fucks Jay Lethal over, or something that happens, or maybe heck, he loses clean. It's not a big deal either.
No, as you know, the idea is that you want to establish the stars that you have, not kind of cow down to these new stars that are coming in, and they've done that with Bobby Fish. I think it's time for Bobby Fish to start getting some dubs, though. He's just been losing nonstop.
I think to your point, Marcus, a face turn would help that immensely too. Like, because you almost hit the reset button. Okay, Bobby Fish has had these great matches with like a Bryan Danielson, a fucking CM Punk, all this stuff, and then you transition. Hey, he's a babyface now. Boom, he's on a new role, and so yeah, I think that's a good point too.
Yeah. So I don't see a problem with him losing, but you want to position him for success down the road. You're not paying these people to big money to bring them in and have them just lose all the time. You wanna take advantage of the star level talent that Jay Lethal and Bobby Fish are.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? It'll be interesting to see how they position Jay, or how Jay positions himself. Is he going to be like in this role of like, hey, this really rock solid veteran worker? How much comedy is he going to play into too? Because like I told you, Marcus, he came out to like his Impact version of Pomp and Circumstance. So
it could be fun to mix some of that stuff in.
And you know what? I think it was, maybe somebody in the chat can help me out here. It was either All In, or it was the ROH Madison Square Garden show with New Japan, where he came out as Black Machismo. I think it was all in. He came out as Black Machismo. It got a huge ass pop. So it's like, yeah, I think
there's value there because it's something that people are very familiar with. So yeah, it's silly not to take advantage.
And how many people in wrestling and fans of wrestling love Randy Savage? I mean,
right?
It's like, yeah, and he's great at doing it. He cut some badass, great promos, like memorable stuff.
Not to mention, Dominic, if Ric Flair is going to be coming in, Ric Flair and Jay Lethal had one of the most memorable moments in wrestling history, incredibly, in TNA. So I'm seeing a pretty clear cut trajectory here.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's going to be fun, man. I know he's like, was your guy, like Alex Shelley was my TNA guy. I think Jay Lethal was your TNA guy, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. I've always been a big fan of Jay Lethal. I like Consequences Creed as well.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a fun time to be a wrestling fan, Dom. And what makes it even more fun is incredible matches and storylines like we got with CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. Dom, I'm guessing I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this was your match of the night.
It's like I said, I had 3 favorite matches, and yes, this was one of them. My gosh, you want to talk about a different pace of a match? Marcus, it was so fucking cool. And the crowd, just what they added to the match was even like, it just raised the stakes so much. The fans love Eddie Kingston, friend of the show. He's all over, man. And and Punk, like, it was cool because Punk was getting booed like here and there. Like, he was beating knees to Kingston, like laying it in on him, and the crowd was like for Eddie. And like Punk just played into it and like and he said this in the post press conference scrum. He's like, I'm pretty good at reading a room. And he's like, I only have one boss in the ring. He's like, that's the audience. He's like, so what the audience does is how I react and what I do in the ring. And he's like, and then I tell the story that way. And so there was a lot of opportunity for that. And how the bout started off, Marcus, like before the bell even rings, Eddie gives him the patented spinning back fist, and like Punk is down and the crowd's going fucking berserk. And like the ref's like checking on Punk, and like Eddie's like laughing, and like he's like, I fucking got you, like all this stuff. So it's like, this fight is a fight. It's like what they said is what we're getting. And dude, it was like Punk gets bloody. It's like, oh man, it was 11 minutes of greatness. It was so fucking cool. And like if you have an opportunity to go and watch this match, like, however form or fashion it's going to happen down the line, you got to watch it because, dude, it was like definitely one of my favorite AEW matches of all time. And that's saying something when it's just one of my 3 of the night. So it really speaks to how great this pay-per-view was, how great that match was, man. Like Eddie Kingston versus CM Punk delivered. It delivered, man.
Man, you can't get much better, right? You know, it's a great build, great story. And then, you know, the delivery in the ring, everything that I've been hearing about that match was that it told the best story of the night, and it could be considered the best worked match of the evening. So it's cool to see something like that happen. I heard that at the end there's like a handshake situation that
and Eddie didn't accept.
Right. So I don't know, man. Sounds like a really fun storyline.
You know what's cool? Okay, this is great, and this is what makes Eddie such a unique talent. Is he's like authentic. So you know, there's so many times where you have a good friend, or there's somebody that you're like, oh man, I love that guy. You know, he's such a real dude, and like this is who he is. But like, say if you get somebody fired up like that, you get somebody angry, you have like he's not able to handle this like situation well. He goes back to that, like, because you almost, I'm sure a lot of people wanted them to shake hands. I wanted them to shake hands. I talked about like, hey, I think they're going to be friends at some point. Maybe they still will be. But Eddie's just like, oh, Eddie, man, you know, like that was the chance. But I get it. Like it was a really well done ending too to all it all. So and it furthers everything down the line. I'm sure that's going to play into something down the line. So
no question about it.
It was fucking great. I love that match. I loved it. Let's see here. Oh, Nesha, yeah, Punk won. Let's see. Okay, she's looking at the results now. So, yeah. Steven, you missed. What all did we talk about? We talked about the main event, talked about Hangman Page, we talked about the Young Bucks and that situation going on. We talked about Miro and Bryan Danielson. We talked about, what was the other one we talked about, Marcus? Street fight. The Minneapolis street fight, and then we also touched about Jungle Express and Christian Cage in that match as well. So, yes, tune in. Go back and listen if you want, if you do care. Also, I wear a cowboy hat at the beginning of the show. So,
what a moment!
What a moment that was. Okay, Mark, what do we got next?
All right. So next up, Dominic, a feud that has been well built, well established, and had kind of a shocking end. Let's hear your take on Darby Allin versus MJF.
Okay, this is match 3 of 3 of the night for me. This was a great match. Like MJF's best, at least AEW match he's done so far, and really proves to the point that he's an all-around great wrestler from every, like, you know, I think it's Anthony Bowens is the 5-tool player because of his baseball ties. Well, MJF's legitimate, like the 5-tool player of wrestling because he's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. He's, you know, gets the whole, he's great look, you know, all that stuff. It all plays into MJF, and he's capable of having any kind of match too. And so Darby resorting more toward the wrestling aspect was a really neat side of the story. But this overall fully encompassed a story, like harken back. I don't know if we mentioned, I think I talked about this to you on a previous episode, but MJF legitimately before beat Darby Allin with a headlock takeover. Like he legit beat him in Limitless Wrestling, I believe it was. Like got him with, so there's a story to that. And what was cool, this match started off, MJF gave him headlock takeovers to start the match. Like he was just trying to beat him that way. And
that was one of the things I was reading about, and some of the positive response was for.
Yeah. And so, and then that match carries on. Like Darby wrestles him. He wrestles him, and they can wrestle. Both of them can wrestle. And then Darby does do some of his hard-hitting, high-risk stuff that plays to sometimes his benefit. But a lot of the times in this match, it played to his detriment, where he, like, you know, did a coffin drop. He's going to give MJF a coffin drop on the apron. MJF rolls out of the way. He hits the apron. So it's like he did a lot of his high-risk maneuvers, and they didn't pay off. And sometimes they did in this match. But then, like, everything comes full circle when Darby, so MJF goats him. He brings in the skateboard. He slides it over to Darby. He's like, hit me. And it's like one of my favorite aspects of the Dark Knight is when the Joker wants Batman to break and wants him to hit him. And like, with the car, wants him to kill him. He's like, do it. I dare you. And, so MJF's employing him. He wants Darby to give into that evil and succumb to all that. And Darby's like, no, not doing it. He gives it to the ref. But MJF slides on the Dynamite diamond, slugs Darby, gives him a headlock takedown. 1, 2, 3. What a awesome match. Yeah, another. It's like if I'm
Hey Dom,
yes.
Take this. I got a quick phone call. I got
no problem.
Sorry.
No problem. So MJF takes it and gets the 1, 2, 3. Yes, I think this is absolutely my top 3 matches and one of my favorite matches of AEW. So like this card had like 3 of my favorite matches already on this thing. So if I was to make like a collection, 3 of them would be on this card, and that's MJF versus Darby, Eddie versus Punk, and then Danielson versus Miro. Those are 3 matches that I think have like one of the best matches that AEW's put on. 3 of them. Who are you asking about here, there, Nesha? What I miss? He's coming to AEW. Do you mean? I'm not sure who you're saying. Do you mean Jay? Because he's officially all elite. He got signed. He's no longer with ROH. He's not even going to be at Final Battle actually. So if that's who you're talking about, Jay Lethal he's signed. Let's see. Oh, Okada. They mentioned it. Ishii is tagging with Orange Cassidy. I think it's a matter of time until Okada shows up in AEW. I think it's a matter of time until Okada shows up. But Ishii's going to tag with Orange Cassidy. What a tandem that is, huh? That should be a good one. And that's happening on Dynamite. So that's something to really look forward to against the Butcher and Blade, nonetheless. So that'll be very, very cool. That'll be a really good match. Those guys will complement one another well because you look at it and you could pair Orange with the Blade, and then you could also pair the Butcher with Ishii. It's just hard hitting, hard slugging. Going to be a damn good match. It's going to be fun. So yeah, that's happening on Dynamite there, Nesha. So should be good stuff. I'm trying to think. There was something I wanted to talk about that I know Marcus probably didn't have on his list here. I'm trying to think. What was the other? They announced another couple of matches for Dynamite this week, but I can't remember. I don't have them off the top of my head. But let me say, I'll talk about commentary a little bit. I think the commentary last night was really good. There's talks of JR potentially leaving for an extended period of time due to his cancer treatment. I wish him all the best and prayers go out to him. JR is a strong, good individual that's steadfast, and he remains it keeps a positive outlook for anything that comes his way in a lot of ways. And so prayers go out to him. I hope everything goes okay. He did a very good job tonight. So did Tony, or last night. So did Tony, and so did Excalibur. Everybody complimented one another well. People try to give JR a hard time about stuff he says. I like he's the check to a lot of balances. I think you need that. You're not going to get that, maybe down the line as much, with guys like that. So I respect JR, and I have a lot of admiration for what he does for the business and what he continues to do. I think it's what he contributes is extremely valuable. And so I'm A-okay anytime he takes an exception with what a referee does or what something happens in the ring that's questionable.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right, Jay. I was just talking about how duty calls. Ad-free shows. The world of ad-free shows never stops. But no, I was just talking about commentary in general and JR and what he adds to the overall product. And like I said, prayers go out to him. He might be leaving the booth for a period of time as he tackles his cancer treatment and everything like that. So it's certainly bigger than anything in the wrestling business is him protecting his health. So he does add a lot of value. But hopefully the things that a lot of these other guys have learned from JR and from Tony for that matter, are going to position them well, as they take over his duties. Yes. Yeah. It's going to be a different dynamic on there. And, I like I said, I really appreciate when JR, is the check to the balances. I think it's a valuable addition that's unique and important, and just overall keeping true to the business and how it should be portrayed in a lot of ways too.
No
Marcus,
doubt about it.
what do you want to go with next? Oh, you didn't get to talk. Did you? What's your thoughts on Darby and MJF? I know obviously you didn't see the match itself, but I said, like, if I was those three matches, Miro versus Danielson, Eddie versus Punk, and then MJF versus Darby, if I was to make a collection of my favorite AEW matches, like, these would all be in it. So,
no doubt. And obviously I didn't see it, so I can't really weigh in on the specifics. But what I can say is that having MJF go over in the match is the right move, because you need to establish strong heels, and not just from a personality standpoint, but from the point that, like, hey, like, he's annoying and he's a complete asshole and we don't like him, but he's good and you can't deny that he's good. And so that creates and positions him to be like a main eventer eventually, be in the world title picture. I can see a long extended feud between him and Paige, and see it being a really good and entertaining thing. So yeah, it's having him go over is the right move, and I say you just continue to build him. Clearly he's being viewed and positioned as one of the top heels in the business. So you gotta make him look strong.
Right. And you know what? I think, there's just the intrigue of who MJF can face next too, because, like, not only do you have Hangman, you got guys like Danielson, you have Punk in the wings, like, at some point. There's just a lot of interesting matchups you can pair him up with and get that going. So,
no question about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, Mark, what do you want to hit with next here?
Well, Dom, Britt Baker was in a match against one of your favorites, Tay Conti.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you think of that bout?
So Nesha wants results, so I'll be sure to give results first. Tay Conti lost. Britt Baker won, but it was after a lot of chicanery that went on, but with the help of Rebel and Jamie Hayter. But this was great. Like, again, different paced match for these two. Really good, great showcase of who Tay Conti is and what she's capable of. And they did not make her look like she was the toughest opponent, challenger for the title that Britt Baker has had yet. And they really got that point across, because she didn't lose like via submission or anything like that. She just, like, got pinned, like, and it was kind of underhanded. So, but, like, she's got a great look. She has a presence in the ring, and then that judo background really adds to what, making her stand out as an in-ring talent. And there's just so much you can cultivate with that and build upon as a star. Like, so to get her into the mix, in the title mix at an early stage like this, is very positive. And you can come back to her at another time where it's going to be her time to be holding that belt. So she's, we talk about the four pillars of, AEW, and they're all the men wrestlers, but she can very well be one of those pillars for the women's division.
Dom, where are we in the women's world title tournament?
Oh, the TBS?
Yes.
So we're still at the quarterfinals aspect of it. So Jade Cargill is going to be facing Red Velvet. Thunder Rosa, I want to say, is facing Jamie Hayter. And then Ruby Soho is going up against Chris Statlander. And then if somebody else can help me with the other one, I think Nyla Rose. Or no. Yeah, Nyla Rose is going up against somebody. Nyla Rose has an opponent that I don't know who it is. But
who wins that tournament, Dom?
I'm saying Ruby Soho, because like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think Thunder Rosa is going to be in the world title picture, or the for Britt Baker's title. So I'm saying Ruby Soho, because I think somebody's going to screw Thunder Rosa out of the tournament. I think something's going to happen, because, like, I mean, dude, if you got to catch even the buy-in with the multi-women tag match that was going on, Thunder Rosa was in that. She got a huge reaction.
Oh, she's a star.
Friend of the show.
friend of the show, Thunder Rosa. She's a star. I think I got to say, I think it's going to be Jade. I think Jade Cargill's going to win it all, and then Ruby Soho is going to be the babyface pursuer of the championship.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Dominic. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The only reason I might push back at that is we already have a heel champion with Britt. So
hey, man, it's a heel company. You know, that's kind of been the formula a lot of the time. Is you've got a pursuing babyface, right?
Yeah. Thank you, Steven. So it's Nyla Rose versus Sakirashida. So I think they're gonna. I could see Shida beating Rose. I think they still want to keep Shida really in the mix of a lot of things, even though she was she was established champion. So you want to keep her hot too. So that'll be interesting. It's not either way. Like I could see it happening either way, honestly. But that should be a good match too.
Dom, Steven mentioned earlier, and I think we should touch on it just for a sec. I don't know if it was mentioned or not. Awesome Wrestlers remembering Eddie Guerrero during the pay-per-view, especially Jericho doing the frog splash, point to this guy and said, "I miss you." I like that kind of thing in wrestling. We got to see a kind of a little bit of it as well back when, not necessarily like an homage, but kind of an homage more to the history of wrestling as well, to WCW when Jericho took on Juventud Guerrera, which was just really cool. They kind of ran down their history together and stuff. So I like that kind of thing. And I think that kind of thing adds value because a lot of the fans that are watching are established long-term fans like yourself and I. And we know the battles that Jericho had with Eddie Guerrero and the incredible chemistry that those two had in the ring together. So it's really cool when stuff like that happens. And it's I don't know, it kind of puts a neat little bow tie on wrestling.
Right. And the homages to Eddie and the hat tips to Eddie were all night. Happened in the FTR, the tag title match there with both FTR and the Lucha Brothers. Happened with Jericho. Punk did something too. And I'm sure I'm missing a couple even.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Santana did the Three Amigos.
Yes. So Dax attempted to do it, and he did the Eddie Sachet thing. And then he attempted to do it, but then got blocked, and then they completed the cycle, and then hit the frog splash. I thought it was cool, that to Steven's point, that Jericho won with the frog splash as well against Lambert. I think that was a cool thing. Eddie's such a star and well remembered and loved across the board in the business. So it only makes sense that they paid homage to him in that regard. And Punk in the post press conference got a little emotional talking about it too, where he talked to somebody, asked him about what do you get to say to Vicky, and he's like, I just hugged her, and that's all. We didn't say a word. He's like, I just hugged her, and then that was it. And he got choked up about it. So
I believe Punk worked against Eddie back in 2001 or 2002. Yeah,
they were in a triple threat. Him, Eddie, and Rey Mysterio. I believe we're all in that match. So
how about that match?
Yeah, how about that, man? Wow,
holy shit.
Man.
So
yeah, thank you Steve, for bringing that up. Yeah.
In any case, we can hammer on, and you brought it up. FTR taking on the Lucha Bros. Kind of a cool build to this, where it's FTR kind of screws them out of their AAA tag team championships. Now they want to come after the AEW championship belts. So yeah, I mean, this kind of thing is cool. Obviously, you don't want to take the belt off of the belts off of the Lucha Bros too fast, so it makes sense. But it's you establish FTR as legitimate opponents, and certainly they are. But you've already established that they are by having them beat them for belts.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think so. Yeah, the Lucha Brothers won, and it was. So, and there was a good out for FTR, because me and you talk about it. We don't like seeing FTR lose. It's just
no, they're. I mean, from a skill standpoint, mic standpoint, presence standpoint, I think that they kind of stand alone in tag team wrestling.
Yeah, and I think with all that, giving them an out is a very good thing to do at this juncture, and it was an underhanded out. They cheated. They tried to cheat to win, but it ended up backfiring on them. So it made a lot of sense. So the finish happened. They downed the Lucha Brothers. Cash goes under the ring and pulls out their Super Rana masks, their frog masks, and he puts it on. And so like Dax is down, so he's acting like he's Dax with the mask on, and he tries to get an underhanded pin on, I believe it was Ray. He puts his feet on the ropes, but Rick Knox catches it, and so that stops him. But then it gets backfired, and the Lucha Brothers double team Cash, and they pin him, get the 1, 2, 3. They didn't pin the legal man though. Dax was the legal man, and so there's that out, and so I think it's a good way to kind of, have your cake and eat it too, in regards to the booking perspective of things.
Yeah, it could be a little storyline build. Maybe this thing doesn't have to be over yet.
Exactly.
The thing that really stands out for me as far as FTR is concerned is that you could take them and bring them back to 1988 and put them in the ring with like the Hart Foundation, and they'd have a great match. You could put them in the ring with the Brainbusters, they'd have a great match. And then you can fast forward to now, put them in the ring with teams like the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros, and they have a great match. So it's honestly, I'm trying to think of a tag team I've ever seen that's better, and I can't think of one.
Yeah, no. Well, Marcus, your point here, you just said it. James says, I would like to see FTR face teams like the Briscoes and Guerrillas of Destiny in the near future. Like, Forbidden Door is way open, especially ROH. That door's off the hinges, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, I mean, the Briscoes coming in is definitely a possibility. That would be great. And same with GOD, too, because...
imagine that match. It would be incredible.
It'd be very good stuff. I think there's plenty of opportunity for that. So, lots... Again, and maybe that kind of plays into the aspect of if the Young Bucks do happen to turn back, there's a lot of heel teams that you can get in the mix of that too. Heck, we didn't even we think about it, like who's a great heel tag team is the Good Brothers, and like they're part of the Clique, they're part of all that stuff. So it's
absolutely,
if the Bucks end up turning babyface in this, it's not, it might not be the wrong thing. So
I don't like it. I like them as heels.
I get it. I like them as heels too, and I hope it doesn't happen. But I'm just saying from another aspect of it all. So let's see here. What else we got going here, Mark? What else you got? Did we get all the matches yet? Or no, we didn't. We got this one here.
Go ahead, hit it.
And this ties in to FTR, who they might be feuding with next. Pac and Cody Rhodes going up against Malachi Black and Andrade El Idolo. So,
as much as I like Pac and Cody Rhodes, and the idea of having them together is interesting. I think that the real money match would be Dustin and Cody against FTR.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's a good point.
Yeah, and I was unable to watch, but from what I understand, things didn't go great between Cody and Pac. So. Right. That doesn't seem like a long-term solution to me.
So, Nesha, Cody, and Pac won. How did they win? Cody did something, I think.
Cody did a thing.
No. This is what happened. So, Cody had Andrade in the figure 4 in the corner. I think this was it. No, was that it? I can't remember.
Oh, dumb.
Okay, Pac pinned Andrade with the Black Arrow. I know that. That happened. But immediately... they get attacked after the match. FTR comes in to tax them. There's been ties between FTR and Andrade, Pinnacle paying them off, all that kind of thing. So they come and attack, and so they set up an angle where it looks like that's going to be headed. But yeah, this was so Cody getting booed, still continues to get booed. Cody, it's kind of interesting how Cody handles this all, because he does heelish stuff in the match. Like he's the first one to blind tag himself in boldly like that. And not that's going to get boos. So he knows what he's doing. He's not, he's kind of, in a way, trolling the crowd. Like, hey, I do heal as shit, but I'm a babyface. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, but that got the ball rolling. Everybody blind tagged themselves in this match on both sides of the ring. So that was a big story going on in the bout. And so, again, I wouldn't put it, maybe it's just below maybe the top 5 in the matches. Maybe this is 6 on the card for me. I don't know. I would have to kind of assess the card again and just look over at how I'd rank the matches. But this told a story and had a different pace.
I wouldn't hate a fatal 4-way with all these competitors.
Yeah, I think, dude, Marcus, one of our big things when we were kids, we'd fire up WCW and NWA Revenge, and we'd have 4-way cruiserweight matches, elimination. Big fans of that. So
I'll tell you, it could get cutthroat.
it could get. I was always like, I think I was always like Dean Malenko and somebody like that, or Psychosis. I would play as. But you'd have this elimination, get back and forth. You just spin that analog stick backwards and get the kick out.
Yeah, that was you're not allowed to do that though. It's
no,
cheating.
That was wrong. That was against the rules in our house. Could not do that shit. But no, I'm with you though. That would be, these guys are just like friends by having similar enemies. That's the only reason. So
I like that idea. I don't know. It's I've said it many times. I think Cody's one of the most skilled wrestlers in the business right now. So you can kind of put it's fun. I know that he bounces from opponent to opponent, and the lack of long-term storytelling. I don't know that it's doing him any favors as far as how the fans feel about him. But Cody can work with anybody. Which is what makes him entertaining. And the idea of him coming up against anybody, to me, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be a great match. You can just like name a person. I'm like, yeah, that would be a good match.
Yeah.
Because Cody is such a good worker.
He's a great worker, and he's a classic style wrestler too that adds to the variety of what you're getting on AEW. So no, there's a lot to be said about that. James says, I would love to see Bandito join AEW and get with Andrade Tranquilo. Yeah, that'd be great. Bandito's awesome. I don't know how much you know about Bandito, Marcus, but he's very good in the ring. And so, and obviously him and Andrade have ties, I think, from AAA and stuff like that. So make a lot of sense. Another tag team to get in the mix. So yeah, very good stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything impending that we really need to talk about. Not so much, I think. They did have the press conference shows. I encourage everybody to kind of go and check those out. Those are always fascinating. I felt a lot of FOMO not being there this time around, but they're very good. And, you get some extra added insight from a lot of the top guys. I mean, Dante Martin got his chance to do this last night too, and that was really cool to see. They're putting a lot of fire behind Dante Martin, and you can tell, like, not just from an in-ring perspective, but how he, approachable he is, and genuine he is in this press conference. I think really speaks to how far he's going to go in wrestling. So, and his intentions, he made it clear, like, he wants to tag back with his brother again. So Darius, I think, just on the shelf with an injury. So it's just a matter of time that happens. Because like his primary goal was like, I want to be in the tag team mix with my brother, like tag team champs. So
it's and maybe I'm crazy, but when I look at Dante Martin, and he's such a great worker, it's just incredible physicality that like you just don't see everywhere. For whatever reason, I think it might be his baby face, his real baby face, where he's got a very young face. Yeah. I'm not saying he's a baby face. I'm saying he has a baby face. I want to see him in a mask.
Marcus, he was Airwolf. Like, that's who he used to be, was Airwolf. And I think he was in MLW, wrestling in Minnesota like that. So I remember seeing him, I think he might've been on that Battle Riot 2 card that I was at in New York. And dude, he's a talent, man. And he's super young.
He is. And I just want to see him, put him in a sweet looking wolf mask, put him let him keep working as a singles, let him get into the AEW Cruiserweight title picture.
Yeah, get that in the mix.
Yeah, no, honestly, I see tons of potential. I see obviously he's not there yet, but I see Rey Mysterio-esque potential as far as his intangible physical abilities.
My comp is Jeff Hardy. It's just he's the new Jeff Hardy, and there's just obviously they wrestle differently in certain regards, but I mean that's he's capable of doing all that stuff, and that guy
he reminds me of Ray in that Ray was able to do things physically that nobody else could do. Mm-hmm. And I also see that with Dante, just in a different way.
Oh, that's a good point too. No, it's very true, because Ray was trailblazing with a lot of that stuff that you would see, and Dante's doing the same thing. So yeah. Let's see. Steven says pay-per-view with a lot of super kicks, middle finger gestures, and a lot of bumps side of the ring. Yeah, it's a great point. There was a lot of that. Middle fingers were galore going on there. Hangman did it. Eddie did it. Punk did it.
Yeah, it's not cool when everybody does it. That's the problem, So I think that's probably there was I don't know this for sure. I don't have any inside information, but I would be willing to bet that there was an edict backstage in 1998. Nobody but Stone Cold throws up a middle finger.
Marcus, is this a tease? Is Stone Cold all elite?
I think that's what they're driving toward, Dominic. Stone Cold is going to come in, do the job for Hangman Page. I
see you looking at me with them beat little eyes, MJF.
Could you imagine that?
Oh, man, Austin MJF.
That would be something.
Hey.
But no, I don't see Austin ever working a match again, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no. So yeah, it's not cool or special if everybody does it. So I think they need to dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
And you and I have talked about the outside stuff. John Moxley did a lot of it. But it's, again, if it's happening constantly, it's not special. Apron bumps. Now, like back in the day, if it was 2001 and somebody did like an apron power bomb, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. That guy's out for weeks.
Right. But now it's like, I see it and I just like go back to playing on my phone. So
it's like, he'll be up in a few.
Right. Oh yeah, he'll be fine. This match we're right in the middle of this match still. It's nowhere near over.
Yeah.
So again, if everybody's doing this shit, it's not special. So I think that they do need to be more cognizant. If I'm gonna get there's very little to criticize about this show or AEW as of right now. They're really on an upward trajectory. But if you really want to kind of get granular, as Double J might say,
synergy.
But if you really want to take a close look at things, that would be an area that I would be trying to improve upon if I was Tony Khan. Like, okay, guys, one middle finger per show, and I'm going to tell you who gets to do it. One apron bump. Let's try to keep the action inside the ring as much as possible. One tope suicida.
Hey, Jungle Boy, it's your week to say shit, okay?
Yeah. And Excalibur is going to be like, I only get to say tope suicida once a week.
Damn it.
That's not fair.
That's my Starbucks. Steven asked, any announcement when starting the Owen Hart tournament? So Tony Khan didn't give a date, but he said it's very soon. So yeah, be on the lookout. It's going to be
Dom, the final for the tournament. I want Cody Rhodes and I want Davey Boy Smith Jr.
I have to think who I wanted that. I want definitely Davey. I think a Davey would be an awesome.
Or Davey versus Pillman Jr.
They did that in the Opera Cup 2019. In the MLW Opera Cup, it was them.
Could be interesting.
Could be interesting.
All right, Dom, let's wrap this thing up. I got shit to do.
Yeah, so do I. Marcus, you got cowboy shit to do.
Cowboy shit.
Cowboy's going to be shit today.
I really hope not, Dominic. They're taking on the Matt Ryan and the Falcons. You never know what you're getting there.
Matty Ice, baby.
Right. So yeah. I guess we'll see what happens.
I put the money on the Jets to beat the Bills, to upset the Bills. I don't know.
I hope that by money you mean like maybe a couple quarters.
I think it was $5.
Dom, next time just give me the money. At least you know who it's going to.
Oh man. Marcus, you know what? You got a little granular with some of your details here throughout the whole course of this episode. Talk about ad-free shows, will you?
Yeah, I will. Sorry if this is like a broken record at this point for some of you regulars in the chat, but look, it's there's nothing regular about what's going on over at ad-free shows. I mean, honestly, the content that they provide, I just got notice about another awesome bonus episode that's coming up here soon. So I mean, just a constant rotation of new content from podcasts that you love and are used to, and special guests, so it's I think I mentioned last week we had JBL came on, we've had Thunder Rosa come on, Renee Paquette. So, and I mean, that's just in the short period of time that I've been working for the company. So there's just so much, and they give so much to wrestling fans. It's like, look, if you're a wrestling fan and you want to take your fandom to the next level, it's ad-free shows. That's the level. Especially if you are able to join as a top guy. Not only do you get all this crazy amount of content, you get exclusive access to all these talents. And I'm talking about Q&As with Eric Bischoff, where you're in there talking with Eric. And then there's Top Guy Weekend, Dom, which you and I had the pleasure of being out in Chicago a couple months back. And you spend the weekend with some of your favorite wrestling talents. If you want to talk to Arn in person, shake his hand, ask him a question, you can. He's right there. He might give you a hug. I don't know. He's there.
Just find the Glock. Find the Glock.
Right. Yeah. Don't pat him down. He's holding that glizzy. But I mean, Sting was there. Dom made a special appearance. It's really incredible the amount of effort and time and the cool things that you get to see when you join the party over at adfreeshows.com. So guys, check it out. Starts at $9 per month. That's 30 cents a day. So it's kind of silly not to do it. Take your wrestling fandom to the next level. Dominic, what's going on with you over there at WrestleZone?
Well, I have a few interviews coming up. I don't spoil them typically until they actually happen, so I don't say what they are. But I have a couple lined up. Maybe a really intriguing one. I didn't even tell Marcus about this one yet, but it's out of the box one. Like if you see behind me there, I can't even point right, but Henry Winkler. It's akin to that. So we'll see what happens. Be on the lookout for that. But what you can do, obviously I write for WrestleZone.com, but I also write for Major League Wrestling. And I have a new show, the MLW Fusion Fight Report. So if you want to get in the mix of what's going on with Major League Wrestling, get a new product in that's tight and that's only an hour a week, that's like very keeps everything together and continuity wise, everything like that, builds new stars, has established stars, curses like a motherfucker, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun stuff on there. So just tune into that every week. Marcus, we gotta make a note to say, hey, subscribe to this on our YouTube channel, on the WrestleZone YouTube channel. Subscribe to our podcast feed. We have it on WrestleZone, but we also have a separate Two Dynamite Dudes podcast feed too that you can just subscribe and get those episodes week in and week out. So do that. If you want to review us on iTunes, that'd be great too. I guess that helps and whatever. I don't want to implore anybody, but hey, that'd be great if you did that stuff. Otherwise, yeah, we got some good stuff cooking over at WrestleZone. Obviously, Colin Tessier and Bill Pritchard do a great job over there with keeping the ship tight, and they get plenty of interviews too. Where who did Colin? Oh, Caprice Coleman. He just has an interview with Caprice Coleman, so they talk about ROH and what's going on there, and a lot of different stuff there. So check that out. As far as that, I think that should. Oh, you notice I'm going Cheech and Chong over here with the freaking mustache. There's a reason for that. I usually don't have a mustache, but I'm doing the Movember thing. So if you like, go to my Twitter, and I have a Movember thing that you can donate to if you want to help promote awareness of prostate cancer as well as mental health for men, stuff like that. So I'll put the link. I'll pin the link at the top of my Twitter. So follow me on Twitter at Dominic DeAngelo.
Dom, you got a good mustache face there.
You like it? You really think so? I thought you were going to rip the fuck out of me being on here today.
No, it's working.
It's working? All right. Hey, I dig it.
You can follow me at Twitter at Marcus P. DeAngelo, as you see there below my image. So you can follow me there. Follow WrestleZone at WrestleZone.com. Follow Ad-Free Shows at Ad-Free Shows. And what else, Dom? Oh, follow this podcast at 2 Dynamite Dudes. So Dom, that's gonna do it.
What a great show. Awesome pay-per-view. Marcus, I know you didn't watch the show. Who's your MVP for the week? Based
on everything that I am hearing about this, Dominic, I think the only way to go is Hangman Page. It's as I said at the top of the program, it's like a mulligan on Starrcade 1997, where it's kind of very similar vibe. And now it's been properly executed. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Hangman Page, man. I mean, and James is here mentioning Magnum TA. That's who Hangman reminds me of. He's like if Barry Windham and Hangman TA, and Magnum TA had a baby, it's Hangman Page. So it's pretty cool to see him in that position. And yeah, it feels like we're getting a few mulligans, right? It's a Sting 97 Starrcade. It's what could Magnum TA have been in pro wrestling? So it's a really cool thing that's going on in AEW.
Pro wrestling is great right now, and I had that I really had that vibe last night. So that says a lot. Oh man, what a run in!
Right at the end.
Right at the end.
I'm not even going to shut it down. Let's sign off.
Shut it down.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time right here on 2 Dynamite Dudes with Attitude. See you guys.
Yeah, cowboy shit. Yeehaw!